Oh yeah, there we go. Southern Riverband boys out of Thornley, Calendar lads. Welcome you back here. Show the FootyCast live from BackChat Studios. It's the round 20 preview. Skeeter, how are you, mate?
Going really well. It's been a great year for WA footy. 36 matches played between the two clubs and there have been 8 victories. So only once a month have we been able to say, yeah, going beautifully. It's been shocking.
Hasn't it? We've got a month to go.
Then what happens? At least we've got some finals coming our way, but it's been horrible. The Eagles are still getting smashed. Nothing's new there. Question marks about Trevor Nisbet, Adam Simpson. Nothing new again. Caro's obviously gone really hard this week. But look, these are issues which will be addressed because the form line suggests that this is one of the worst performing sides in recent memory.
You said you're maybe cooking dinner for the family tonight.
Yeah, no, well, I've got after this just a couple other duties, but then I'll go home and my wife's working today. So I thought I know your specialty is a roast, which is good. Roasts are great this time of year.
Yes.
I might do a tuna pie, which I've learned how to do. Yeah.
Tuna pie?
Yeah, absolutely.
What's that involve? Pasta?
No, tuna. And then you put, there's pastry up the top and the bottom.
Like
grate some cheese and grate some carrots and put some spring onions in there. Put it in the oven. Mate, it's pretty, even someone of my limited ability.
It doesn't sound overly
That's not hard.
arduous.
No, but you know what? It's called, as you know, being married, the effort.
Right.
to actually go and do something for your family.
Is it edible, though?
Yeah, no, it's not bad, actually. So that comes off. So get that done tonight. 6 o'clock Matildas, 6 o'clock the Ashes.
Right.
Thursday night taken care of.
The Ashes tonight. Matildas looking forward to that. We're going to watch that. Who are they playing?
They're playing Nigeria. And again, I think I've brought this up before, but I know this is... This has been a gripe of yours. Sam Kerr, the decision not to name her as being injured before the first game. And what about this? 2 days out before they're playing Nigeria, 2 players...
They clash heads or something?
Concussed.
Did they?
Now,
was it a...
Well, there's no vision. They just said slightly concussed. So you'd think it'd be a collision between the pair. But normally, in captain's runs or 2 days out from a major match...
It's rare.
You're not doing much, are you?
No. So Sam Kerr hasn't been named? Or she's in the squad? Or they said she's not playing?
No, she's definitely not playing tonight.
Right.
They'll make a decision on Sunday about her for Monday. But with a calf injury... I'll be staggered if she plays against Canada on Monday, particularly if they win tonight, means they finish on top of their group. If she's done a calf, and one of her teammates said she torn a calf, I'm not sure she'll play in this tournament. That's the honest reality. If you do your calf, she's not playing.
Well, it's a 4-week injury, isn't it? So it depends when she did it. Ben Stokes has come out and said James Anderson's the greatest ever fast bowler to ever live. Have you seen that?
I played it on radio this morning.
Was he referring to England?
No, he said the greatest ever fast. And look,
for fuck's sake,
seriously,
they have lost the plot. I reckon.
Yeah,
they've actually lost the plot. I've seen. We don't. It doesn't matter about winning. We're happy just to entertain people. Moral victories.
Change the length of test matches so there's a reserve day.
Yes.
Play until 10 o'clock at night. There's so much crap that's coming out. Look, I do agree. You've got to bowl 90 overs in a day, and I don't mind extending play, but some of the excuses being made up, and Piers Morgan.
James Anderson is a good bowler.
Great bowler. No, he's better than good. He's a great bowler.
Right.
But
greatest of all time.
To put him, and I just rattle them off. My all-time favourite, a bit biased. DK Lilly, you think of Curtly Ambrose, Malcolm Marshall, Wazim Akram, Glenn McGrath. Those guys I would have ahead of...
Is he in that conversation?
I think he's in the back end of the top 10, but the greatest fast bowler of all time.
They got the blinkers on. They completely got the blinkers on.
He's been loyal. Stokesy, I love him.
I hope we knock him over and just absolutely roll him. It's going to be a complete balls up if we lose.
You know, social media. I've fallen foul of that.
I do know. Do you?
After a couple of ales over the Ashes series, I might have just
BackChat ales
transgressed. But the banter, or certainly the vitriol, or whatever it's called, between the English fans, the Australian fans. Jeez,
the English have lost the plot. That's why they're carrying on like pork chops.
Yeah,
so.
we sometimes act like absolute.
Shout out to our English fans listening in. We love you.
Drop us a question.
But you've lost the plot. The bottle mark roughy of the week will be on this week's schedule. We'll see if we can get one for the year. That'd be nice. We're going to get down to Froth Town, getting closer. August 18, 19. Make sure you get your tickets. Skeeter will be there. Don't care if he can't come. He will be there. You'll be dragged down there, Skeet. Got an exciting announcement to make. I know this is going to be right up your alley, Skeet.
Yeah, what's it? 5-star crown?
So Shelter, they do live gigs down there. They've just announced a huge band is playing there. September 22. You can get your tickets now at oztic.com.au. You can go through the Shelter website. Right, this is September 22nd.
Which is a Friday of the long weekend.
That is correct. So if you want to get around it, I reckon you could get some accommodation, get some tickets. Dice are playing, Skeet. Does that excite you, mate? Dice.
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 You're laughing at me, so should I know who Dice is?
I just knew.
And I say this, Sinead O'Connor passed away today. She's a big name. You're telling me Dice.
So Sinead's not playing there.
No. Dice. Are they a local band?
Well, I'll play some music, see if it... Hey.
Yeah. That's it, is it? Oh, that's a build-up.
That's a bit of Dice, mate.
That's it.
No, that's not them.
Okay. No,
Dice will be playing there, mate. People listen along will know. They'll know who.
What age demo of Dice?
I'll play you some Dice. All right, ready? I'll play it too.
No, I do like that.
Like that?
Yeah, that's a bit more. Yeah.
So that's Dice.
Yeah, okay, got it. Fair enough. No, I was a bit concerned when I heard that first bit of music.
I'll just sort of freak you out. So I might get some experts on over the next few weeks to explain to you who Dice are. But they are playing at Shelter, 22nd of September. It's going to be good.
In Busselton.
Talking about live shows, BackChat live at the Paddo this Monday. We're doing a live show down there.
Do I get any notice of this? I'm not involved.
You're not on. You're not on. You can come if you want. But we can come down for a beer.
You know me. During the week, I'm tucked away like
BackChat Ales will be down there. Shelter on tap.
And you can walk home.
That's exactly why we're doing it at the Paddo, Skeeter. Very good by you. So we'll be down there Monday, 8 p.m. if you want to come down and have a yarn with us. Let's get into the footy, mate. Been talking too much shit. Willie Rioli downgraded 2 weeks down to 1 week. Like it? Happy?
Oh, I think given the action. But like I saw... I think it was Chad Wingard come out and say, well, if you're tackling someone like say it's wrong or what, and you're copping time for something that is a completely innocent act in terms of what you're trying to do, as opposed to actually,
but that's
the argument that he's put out there.
Well, but that's where we're at right now, and I would still argue that action he wasn't trying to strike him. He's effectively put it in the same realms of hand-to-hand combat right in front of a forward stoppage or forward 50 crumb. He's doing everything he can to get his defender out of the way, and you don't just ask someone to move nicely. So it's extremely physical there. Now, he's got it wrong and he's hit him in the head, but he's not swinging his fists around like the Simpsons. I'm going to swing my fist and get him away.
Rochelle was, I think, he had the closed fist.
Well, he ran up and tried to punch someone off the ball. This wasn't in the field thing. So I think 1 week's enough.
I think you need to cop some time to give him the look.
Couldn't be off altogether. Yep. I think they've landed about right. North Melbourne want a priority pick. You happy with that?
Well, I actually don't have any issues with it, only because if I'm sitting on the outside and trying to see a club which has got no future in terms of, financially, of course, with the broadcast deal, they're always going to be okay. But I can't see in the next 2 or 3 years them getting significantly better. So, given the measures that the AFL has taken with the Suns, with the Giants, and what they've done across the last 15 years to try and make sides more competitive, I'm not overly adverse to it. But maybe the argument against is, well, hang on, they've had priority picks. They've had the chance to get their list right. This is their bed. They've got to now line it. Yeah,
I'm not sure where I sit on it because at one stage West Coast have been thrown around amongst the priority picks.
I don't think when you've won a flag 4 years ago or 5 years ago, you can legitimately put your hand up to say we deserve a priority pick. That's just my gut feeling. Was Kangaroos have been in trouble for a while on field.
They have. We'll get down to a few of the matchups coming up there this week. We can. There is some big games. Look, there's been certainly, I think, increased chat around Adam Simpson, Trevor Nisbet, West Coast, which on one hand is a little surprising. I don't think a lot's changed, has it? The performance.
No,
well, but there is a significant, I think, increase in someone's got to go right now kind of thing.
Well, there's certainly, I think, in Perth it's been pretty constant. The fact the West has been, and as a journal, I'm mates with a few of the guys, and Glenn Quartermain's a really good mate of mine, who I speak to regularly. I feel sorry for them because they're obviously having to put out content on the West Coast Eagles at the moment,
yes,
and there's no positive content to put out. So
there's not a lot to balance it with Fremantle either, is there really?
Yeah, well,
did you hear Justin Longmuir come out and say Alex Pearce has been injured? No shit. Why wouldn't you release that? Why wouldn't you just tell that to people?
I totally agree, and I know this is
you've
been banging on about it. But all you're doing is a disservice to Alex Pearce, who's had his captaincy question, he's had his form question. You can say what harm does it to say, look, he's got an issue with his ankle, he's playing through it, he's sore, but you know what? While we're in finals contention, He wants to be there, and we want him there.
I'm ramping this right up, and it's got all clubs involved now. They are hoodwinking fans. All clubs. West Coast doing it, no doubt. Fremantle's doing it. The rest of the competition, we see it weekly. Clubs not telling fans, supporters, I'm just going to keep saying it, sponsors, what's going on at their football club. I just think it's bullshit. I think we're the most... I think ahead of NRL, ahead of any other code in Australia, we are the most guarded,
clandestine style footy code that even you talk to America. But let's forget the American sports because it is different in that respect. Let's even look at our own backyard. It's extraordinary the amount of times you can see coaches lying. You can see them when they're asked a question, whether it's Adam Simpson, Justin Longmuir, about players. You can see they're keeping it under wraps. And I understand what they are trying to do from the club's perspective, but it's got to be bigger than that.
Haven't spoken to him yet. So, like, the one I saw last week was Luke Shuey doing his hammy. Simo getting asked, how's Luke Shuey and his hammy? Haven't spoken to him yet. There's literally footage of him, like, speaking to him for 5 minutes. Just, Simo, just say you've spoken to him and he's fucking upset. I don't see what the issue is with being honest with people. I'm starting to speak to a lot of people around the traps, both in footy and out footy, especially fans, that are becoming frustrated, to say the least, with the amount of information they get out of their football clubs. Now, I'm tending to agree, and I'm in the media land now, and I do understand as a football player, I did always try to be as honest as possible, and I had frustrations as a player when I was told, well, you can't say this, don't say that, don't give up this. It's like, well, how about we just say it? Everyone listens to it.
They move on a lot quicker.
The counter argument is, well, okay, they're going to take what we say out of context. They're already doing that. Everyone's already doing that. Everyone takes whatever they want and they do whatever. You may as well just be honest, and then you say what you like and you get a statement out there. I don't think we see it enough. It's still my head in.
The context thing, I mean, if I hear Ben Stokes saying, I heard him this morning say Jimmy Anderson's the greatest bowler of all time, that's his opinion. That's fine. I get it.
Yes.
My point is that are they worried more about what it gives as an advantage to opposition clubs for the next week? For instance, Luke Shuey, in the paper yesterday, Luke Shuey hasn't been ruled out of Sunday's game against North Melbourne. I went on radio this morning saying, I'm not a doctor.
Luke Shuey went on radio.
I can tell you that barring Mother Teresa's reincarnation, he is not playing. What is so hard saying?
He's not playing.
He's not playing. He's out, done his hand.
Luke Shuey was on radio saying that.
Yeah, that was that night saying that. So I don't get it. Anyway, is it because you are trying to gain a minimal advantage over opposition clubs?
If it is, it doesn't exist, mate. I can tell you that right now. Okay. No, players and coaches aren't scouring the internet for who's. You just rock up and play, and you prepare for the team that's going to be out there. And then if there's changes, you deal with it. Doesn't change the week at all.
I know we're talking about the Eagles and Simpson, Trevor Nisbet, etc. One thing was brought up last week. I just want to get your opinion again. Is the suggestion that the Eagles, and I haven't been to enough training sessions to give an answer, the Eagles don't train hard enough. It's an interesting concept in AFL land that one club could be singled out as the reason for part of their reason for their failures are because they don't train hard enough. Do you give that any credence whatsoever?
So Carl Langdon said that on our coverage, right? And I questioned him pretty hard because my experience, I only played at one AFL club, and I certainly felt like we were training hard when I was there. So my question was what's happened in the last 3 years? I mean, perhaps that's the drop-off, because he sort of gave me a few ideas and a few concepts around what he'd heard and who'd told him, and I kind of had to agree with, well, it kind of sits pretty well with what he'd said. So if the training standards have been down, I mean, that's why Warren Coford loses his job, but is that set by the head coach? Is that set by the leadership group? Is that set by the West Coast Eagles as a whole, as their culture? If that's a thing.
But I can't understand, given the lack of success or lack of victories in the last 2 years, that you would be decreed. Now, is that because of your injury levels? I don't know.
Well, the list is certainly significantly different since 2020, so maybe people just don't know. You don't know what you don't know, Skeet. Will Schofield, Mark Reddings, Shelter FootyCast. Let's get into the game, Skeeter. Our favourite two teams, West Coast and Freo. Freo play Geelong at KP, Kardinia Park, Alphabet Stadium, 11:45 Saturday. I reckon this could be an absolute bloodbath, like a bathing. I'm talking big-time bathing. Big-time bathing.
Yeah, well, it's hard to see with the motivation of Fremantle going through the floor. You go to Geelong, and look, let's be honest, they've played pretty well there in recent times.
Yes.
I mean, have had success there. So, but they're, and I thought their performance against Sydney was okay. But you look
for
at
3/4.
Yeah, 3/4. Aish possibly comes back from a quad. O'Driscoll maybe. Banfield. I mean, they're not going to change the setup of Fremantle too much.
I know you don't go too exotic with some of your betting practices, but if you were a betting man, I would be very surprised if Fremantle didn't at least match it for the first quarter.
First quarter? That's the quarter I think they wouldn't match them for because they've had terrible first quarters. I know,
but you cannot tell me that all that they would have been focusing on this week is starting well. Like they just... The only reason they lost last week is they couldn't start. So literally, don't even worry about matchups. Don't know what you're doing. Don't worry about your ball movement. Don't worry about your team defence. Worry about starting well. I'd be very surprised if Freo weren't leading at quarter time, and then they'll get absolutely rolled. Gary Rowan and Jed Buse could return for the Cats. James Aish, Nathan O'Driscoll, Bailey Banfield all pushing for a return. Interestingly enough, Cats' biggest weakness is clearances. So I'm wondering with a Brayshaw or a Sarong, does a Mark O'Connor run with one of those guys? Because clearly they've got an advantage in the clearance factor, and Luke Jackson played well last week.
Yeah, exactly. From Fremantle's point of view, they've obviously got to compensate still for Darcy, who's, by the way, ruled out for the rest of the season. No surprise there, ankle surgery. But what you see with Geelong, often their ability to intercept turnovers and win their footy that way has been, I think they've outscored their opponents 35 points a game that way, particularly at that ground, which... we've seen Essendon. I know they've fallen off the cliff a bit, but they go down there in reasonable touch. They get pantsed. Yeah. They've seen sides go down there just unable to cope. Fremantle's actually...
Freo can play there.
So that's...
They will have some amount of confidence, but I just think Geelong are starting to build...
momentum. And this is a month out from the finals or thereabouts. I think you're right. Fremantle know their season's over. Geelong have still got a realistic chance of making the top four. I can tell you one thing. If they can find themselves into a double chance position and they get Collingwood at the MCG... in a qualifying final, that's the Magpies' worst case scenario. I think
it is, but I think Collingwood's confidence is going to a point where I don't think they'd care.
No, you're probably right.
Hawkins and Cameron. I mean, Alex Pearce last week, he was beaten well by Lance Franklin. They've come out and said he's injured. No shit, Sherlock. You could see that by looking at him. If they're going to have any chance, they need to stop both of those guys.
Yeah, and Tom Stewart going, in attack. He's, I think 13 intercept.
He went into the middle. Last week. He was at CBA's last week.
Yeah, he's
Tom Stewart,
a player that you just associate with being basically the cornerstone of their defence. If he's got the ability to go into the midfield, that really helps them out big time. And Tommy Hawkins, I think he kicks goals against bottom 8 sides for fun. So. He's a real danger, as you say, with Alex Pearce not 100%. Outside of that, Brendan Cox, no sign of him.
And Hamling.
Hamling's...
Yeah. He's a lockdown, so you're going to put him on a... I don't know if he's big enough for Hawkins, unfortunately. So I think Pearce goes to Hawkins, and he's going to have to sort whatever injury out he's got. We're picking Geelong?
Picking Geelong by margin, yeah.
Bloodbath. West Coast v North Melbourne, Sunday, Optus Stadium, 2:40, the last game of the round, an absolute ripper, absolute ball terror, absolute huge contest at Optus Stadium. In all seriousness, there should be a level of competitiveness in this game for two sides that have won one game and 2 games apiece, 3 games won between them. It hasn't been a good year for either side. Both will be looking at this as a game they can and should win. So neither of these sides would have gone into many games this year thinking that. So it's a different mindset, I think.
It is. And this is the first time, I think, since about round 2 or 3 when the Eagles beat the Giants, that I've actually... I'm sort of weighing up whether they can win. And look, at home, they have to be a chance. And look, there's a possibility, you might know more than I, but Jay McGovern, T. Barras... and Elliot Yeo, maybe...
3 big names.
Maybe named tonight. But we've said that all year about names coming back, but it hasn't really affected the scoreline, has it, with what they've done?
So we know Luke Shuey won't play with a hammy. We know Samo Petrevski-Seaton's out for 2 weeks. That was a fair suspension. I don't think we need to question that. McGovern would be more of a chance. Barras, I reckon, no chance. Elliot.
What's he done, do you think, Tommy?
No, I don't know. Don't know the answer to that question.
It was when he...
Yeah,
went for marking contest and crashed into
clearly they tried to get him up last week. They travelled him last week, same as McGovern, even though they'd ruled him out. So it was obviously close enough. I just don't reckon. I don't reckon he plays.
Well, we watched North play a bit of that game against St Kilda, and it was a pretty average game. But to be fair, North, since Brett Ratton's taken over, they had some, absolute shellackings. But they should have beaten Sydney. That they have been competitive. They just don't know how to win a game at the moment. But guess what? Their opponents are in the same boat, if not worse. So I'm absolutely not sure where to head with this one. Nick Larkey. Put him in a quality side. How good could he be?
North Melbourne won the first 2 games of the year.
I know
they were on a roll.
They beat West Coast and Fremantle.
Nick Larkey, very good. So last time I played him again was 3 years ago, but he had the attributes of a just almost there forward. Like he had, he could take a mark. He had the movement. Clearly, now in 3 years, he's taken a step forward.
Beautiful set shot for goal.
Yeah, and he's very simple in front of goal, isn't he? Just literally just chips it over, kicks it 5 metres past the goal umpire every time. Doesn't matter where he's on the ground.
So who plays on him?
McGovern, if he's playing.
Yeah, yep, true.
It has to. Like, you can't leave the kids to it. And Gov's the sort of guy that would be like, yeah, give me the best player.
Yep.
People think that Jeremy McGovern is, a loose man in defence because of the intercept marks he takes. He's a good contested one-on-one player when he needs to be. So that'll be interesting to see because we've seen Tom Barrass as the guy that's done that. Tommy Barrass was pretty much like McGovern in terms of fighting across, taking big marks, little less one-on-one. Probably 4 years ago, he had to make the decision to become that more locked down, stable presence back there, and it's been really good for his footy, hasn't it? I mean, consistent player at West Coast. So McGovern goes to him, I think. I haven't heard anything from Elliot Yeo. I don't know if he plays. Like, I really, since he was injured again, I haven't heard anything.
No, neither I.
So I don't think he plays either, to be honest.
But you might get one of those back.
Look, Jai Simpkin returns, skipper for the North. He's back.
He's back, important. We saw LDU get worked pretty well against St Kilda. Again, it's just when he was...
He's a gun, mate.
He's a gun.
I had him in my top 5 players of the year.
Yeah, he was at the start of the year.
Yeah, he's fell off
Could he be the difference between the... I mean, a quality mid who's up, playing good footy.
Absolutely.
Could he be the difference on Sunday?
I expect someone like Tim Kelly to bounce back from a couple of down weeks. I sort of see him at home. West Coast at home are a better side.
Yeah.
Now, are they a good side? No. And North Melbourne a good side? No. So, look, I have grave fears for the quality of this game, but hopefully...
I can't see a team winning by a margin. I can only see this being less than 3 goals.
Put it this way. Not that North Melbourne can really go anywhere more backwards, but if North Melbourne beat West Coast by a margin, the drums beating right now will be beat. They'll be banged, mate.
Yeah, that's true.
So you'd hope that doesn't happen, I think, probably for everyone's sake. But who are you picking?
I will pick, with absolute no confidence whatsoever, North Melbourne.
I'm picking North Melbourne as well. Yeah, I'm picking North.
Put it this way, they're travelling better than the Eagles, I think.
Correct.
And that's I think the playing in Perth makes it a bit more of a conundrum, but...
If those three, they're favourites at the moment. If those three are playing, McGovern, Barrass, Yeo, I'd change my pick. I don't think they're playing though. Maybe McGovern.
Yeah.
Will Schofield, Mark Reddings, Shelter FootyCast. All right, Skeeter, this is an absolute ripper to start the weekend. Friday night footy, Collingwood v Carlton. You remember last year, the last game of the year, how big that was. It was close to 100,000 at the G.
Yep.
Both sides are going better now, right? Collingwood's going better. They're getting 50,000, or they're getting 60,000 at the G against, like GWS and sides that.
Oh yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So
it'll be 80 plus. If it's decent weather in Melbourne tomorrow night.
Friday night footy, there has to be 80 plus.
Yeah, exactly. And Carlton, they've won 5 in a row. They are playing good footy. They've won by more than 50 points. They're in a bit of a form that suggests they might push Collingwood, who would have been not mentally flat after beating Port Adelaide, but they were up, and that was a big game, and there was a lot of build up to it. So there's just a little window here for them. Remember they were pantsed earlier this year at the MCG. They were very poor. Carlton, yeah.
They've got some injury issues. They're the second most injured side in the AFL right now, behind our good friends at West Coast. West Coast have got 1,300 games unavailable. Carlton are 1,100.
They're second, I think, in that list. I think Collingwood, just from memory, I was having seen that, might be
bottom of the list.
A dozen or so.
They're bottom of the ladder.
Yeah.
So they're just fully fit and available.
Will Hoskinelli, I think, is the only one. Yeah, there's such minimal injuries there. Paddy Cripps will return, though, we believe.
Yes. Adam Chera.
Test. Sam Walsh, obviously, out with a hamstring.
Which is a big loss for them. He's had a good few weeks.
Exactly. And just for what it's worth on the periphery, Zach Fisher, WA, young small forward. Not so much young anymore, but looks like he might be in the mix to to move at the end of the year if all the talk is right, given he can't break back into the side.
To West Coast?
Oh, not necessarily. I think a couple of Melbourne clubs would look at him.
Pies have won 8 of the last 9 v the Blues.
Yep.
Collingwood will likely be unchanged. Paddy Cripps, as you mentioned, back.
What if they get to a point of the season? I'm tipping them tomorrow night.
Who, Collingwood?
Yeah. That if they can't be displaced from top spot, do they start to
rest blokes?
Or is that not the style you do?
If they're not injured, if they're fit.
Have they got any aged players who are in that category? Pendlebury's the only one, isn't he?
Yeah, Pendlebury.
Tom Mitchell, maybe?
Yeah, Tom Mitchell, who's had his spot question at the moment, but coach and a few players have come out and defended his spot in the team. He's been sub a few weeks. The Bottom Art Roughy of the week. Start your footy weekend at Bottom Art. Grab your shelters where Bottom Art has you covered. You don't have to get into the weekend for this one. Scully's picking Carlton to knock off the top of the ladder, Collingwood. I just think there's a few things at play here. Now, I understand they've got full control of their emotions. They've proved me and others, everyone wrong for 2 years, that they can just go back to back to back with close games. But I think the emotion last week got the best of them. They were carrying on a little bit more than they usually do. I think beating Port Adelaide away, it was a huge win. They'd prepped themselves up. I think they fall back a little bit. They don't fall off the perch. They just come back to the field a little bit, skipper back. Patrick Cripps has a huge game. I think Carlton, although their injuries are sort of widespread, I think they get the job done.
Good shout. And if you're looking for any form line, then Carlton's sort of going like that. Yep. So at least they're in the right direction.
I mean, Collingwood sort of is.
Collingwood probably. I mean, if you're putting your house on this one, you still think correct. Collingwood wins, but that's why it's called the Bottom Up Roughy.
That is correct, Skeet. I won't be picking up in the regular Western Bulldogs v GWS.
Ooh.
I spoke to someone at GWS last night, and I didn't realise they were playing in Ballarat. They were playing.
Stadium.
They were playing in Ballarat.
Wasn't Dave Matthews, was it?
I can not confirm or deny that, Skeeter.
I didn't see something on social media.
We BackChat put an episode out with the CEO of GWS.
That's what I said. Was it Dave Matthews?
Yeah, it was Dave Matthews.
You think I'm that stupid that
yeah, I do actually.
Good on you, mate.
Western Bulldogs v GWS. It's a good game. It's a good game. This is a big game. This is a huge game.
Yeah, it's played
7th v 5th.
7th v 5th, and I've got to say they're in really good form. The Giants with what they're doing. Just having a look at the Ballarat weather tomorrow. Saturday, 13 degrees for the top, 6 degrees, but it's fine. So that's always a bit of an issue when you go to Ballarat, just what the weather's like. But
it'll be grim, mate. It'll be
really?
It doesn't matter what the weather says. Ballarat's a grim place. You think Geelong's bad? Ballarat's worse. Tom Green and Jesse Hogan not available still, so they're two big players. It's been a big hamstring for Tom Green. I mean, this will be his third week out in a row.
He's important to them as well.
Yeah, absolutely. In and under type. Jesse Hogan, I think, is very important to them as well. But they've continued on. My first question now for GWS is who plays on Toby Green, because like I've said over and over and over again, if he gets scoreboard involvement and he gets score assists, GWS win. It's not even a question anymore. If he plays well, they win. So if I'm preparing to play the GWS Giants, who can stop Toby Green? I don't know if the Bulldogs have someone that can do that. Ted Richards is a guy that I think they would rate to be able to match him athletically.
Yep.
But from what I've seen, he's a bit more offensive than probably lock him down on someone. I think Toby Green, to lock him down, you need a taller player that can match him athletically, but he's stronger than him. If that makes sense.
Yeah, no, he's
like
Schofield probably the hardest matchup in the AFL.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is that? That's what you're trying to say, because of his ability to
play.
He
can play as a small, but he's like a tall.
Yeah,
so you need to be able to match him with strength, and he doesn't like the physicality, the real big players, because he's not tall, and he can't match but he knows he can beat you with fitness. So you need to be able to work your ass off. I don't know who that is for them. Rory Lobb kicked 5 goals in the VFL. Maybe he returns, maybe not. Given that I think they look like they're starting to figure some things out, the Bulldogs.
I don't know, but you say that, but they have been very much up and down all season. So I've got a lot of trust in them, but your man Libba is playing beautiful footy. So too the Bont. Aaron Norton. He's generally, at least a target to go to. Jamara Ugle-Hagan, I'm not sure Lobb fits into that at the moment.
No, I don't either. I think they're too tall. I think we spoke about this at the start of the year. They were too tall. They had so many tall prospects. You can't go in too tall at the moment, the way footy's being played.
Yeah, but that's what they drafted with the knowledge that these guys, and Josh Bruce obviously was... Anyway, they've had the chance to
You'd rather have too many than too little.
Yeah, of course, absolutely. look, their performance against Essendon shows they need to put together some good footy between now and round 24. I mean, if they finish 5th to 8th, it's going to be hard for them. So I think the Bulldogs, just with their midfield, you mentioned Tom Green, just with their midfield dominance, I think they'll probably be able to get the result here. And full credit to the Giants. We both had them well outside the 8. You had them, I think, Stone Motherless.
Yeah, I was on the phone to Dave apologising for that last night.
But they've been outstanding. New coach, terrific. Put it this way, apart from that game against Collingwood, they haven't been pantsed, from my memory, once. Never. So that's been a really good result for them. Picking the Bulldogs in Ballarat.
Bailey Smith's 100th game. Yeah. I think Ballarat maybe firms it up towards GWS, not really? Having to play at Telstra or at Marvel Stadium. I'm picking the Giants. You know what? I'm getting on the Giants.
Okay, that's fine.
Happy with that?
Yeah,
you okay with that?
It's not my bottom up roughie of the week, though.
Okay, well, could have been mine. It would be. Oh, it's not yours? They're $1.50. Of course it's not yours. Gold Coast v Brisbane.
The roughie. I'm saying the roughie.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're saying I'm not picking the Giants are not $1.50, Bulldogs $1.50.
Yeah, and you picked the Bulldogs, so of course it's not your roughie.
No, of course it's not, no.
Gold Coast v Brisbane. The Q Clash. Wow, I didn't realise the Q Clash was on because no one cared.
Heritage Banks. No, people do care about the Brisbane Lions because where they finish will have a bit of a bearing on how things roll out. So the sugar hit lasted for a week for the Giants, Stephen King.
Yes.
For the Suns, should I say?
Yes.
And now they're back to reality, taking on the Lions, who, interesting, I didn't see much of that game against Geelong, but they really had to battle a 2-goal win, which was...
Just looking at the scoreboard, you'd think that's not the game you thought you'd be watching.
No, it was a low-scoring affair, didn't really, live up to what we expected, but...
Will Ashcroft's been a big part of their midfield this year. He's out with an ACL.
That's huge, isn't it?
Really disappointing and sad to hear that. We hope him the best with his recovery. Zach Bailey's a chance to return for the Lions. Sam Collins' 100th game for the Suns. Are Gold Coast a side that strikes you as one that stands up for their players in milestone games like I think Richmond, Geelong, Melbourne, Collingwood would do?
My honest answer, I have no idea. Because they haven't had that many milestones that I can think of. Oh, no, seriously, I can't think of any big milestones that players just haven't had the longevity there to instill that culture. So, look,
I think there's upsets coming this weekend.
Yeah, probably.
I think there's upsets coming. All the favourites won last week.
I got 9 out of 9. Yeah, so there's if that's happening.
I didn't ask what you did last week.
Okay. Well, the Lions have to be winning this. If you're finishing. Have designs of finishing top 2, which they still might. I mean, are they a chance?
No.
They don't finish it?
No. Away from the Gabba, they're irrelevant. Can't play. I'm picking Gold Coast.
Yeah, well, you're wrong. It's going to be.
I'm picking Gold. I'm wrong.
You'll be wrong. Brisbane will win this game.
Timestamp this. You're wrong. I want that as a hotkey on that thing over there, and you press it all the time.
Yeah, I'm just telling you.
Yeah, okay. Well, you've picked the favourite. Pick the $1.20
No, I'm
just
saying. Well, I'm saying you're saying this. They're no good away, and I agree with you. At the MCG, they're no good, but they will be good enough to beat the Gold Coast Suns. They're currently a game and a better percentage than Port Adelaide. The motivation is far higher for Brisbane than Gold Coast. They're a better side.
They stand up for their dour and absolute legendary defender Sam Collins in his 100th and get it done. Essendon v Sydney, 5:25 Saturday evening. I mean, it's a must-win. Sydney just alive. Like the Sydney Freo game last week was sort of whoever won that had an opportunity to play finals. Speaking to all the Sydney players last week out in the ground, they certainly all feel like finals is alive. And Buddy Franklin's words were probably the most prominent that I remember. And he said, look, we haven't had the season we wanted after making a grand final last year. And there's a lot of young players still running around, but they do have the opportunity to make it into something. Like to make the season, something that's not lost completely because they are still sitting in a potential position to play finals.
Yeah, and what we saw for the majority of last week was a team that we could see what they did in 2022 just by their ball movement. They're getting some players back. They've had some injuries as well. Yep. Luke Parker, we know what he did.
Yes.
And if he continues in that vein of form, Errol Goulden, their midfield looks really, really sound.
Buddy Franklin's looking good.
Buddy's looking good.
Hey?
As soon as I've said well, put it this way. Hey? Well, you suddenly...
He's coming out.
So Robbo says he might play on next year, and suddenly, Buddy Franklin's considering playing on. Well, I still think...
You want him done, mate.
I don't want him done.
I should have told him that.
I don't want him done, but I think it's a fair assumption if you read the Herald Sun or any publication, there's a general feeling that this is his last year. And that's not, I wasn't being Nostradamus here. I'm just telling you, he's near the end of his career, and he looked cooked in the first half of the year, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's
just working his way in, mate. Didn't do a pre-season. Mate, he's just going to get the whole leagues going.
So what's next pre-season going to look like?
He might not do it. He just work his way in. He's one of the greats of the game.
He's one of the greats of the game.
Don't want him to retire him too early. He's got 14 goals to kick to be the only player in VFL, AFL history to kick 500 goals for 2 teams. No one's ever done it. He's going to kick 14 more goals this year. He's got 5 games plus finals possibility.
Well, forget the finals. That ain't happening.
They're not making finals?
No, they're not making finals.
They're not making finals?
I don't think they are.
Is that right?
So who's dropping out? Is it St Kilda? Has to be
St Kilda's gone. Yeah, St Kilda's gone. And I don't really have anyone else to drop out. Because Geelong's not going. GWS ain't going.
Who's outside the 8? Oh, hang on. Do you reckon the Giants aren't?
I think Carlton falls over again somehow.
Okay. Yeah, probably. You're probably right. Richmond?
Richmond aren't making finals.
Okay.
Yeah, Richmond aren't making finals, mate. Just
say no.
Say no.
Okay, fair enough.
I think Sydney could be the ones, mate.
Okay.
Well, Jordan Ridley's out with a quad. That's a big injury for Essendon.
Yeah, for the rest of the year almost, isn't it?
Yeah,
so
that's quaddies are shocking. Mason Redmond signed on, though. He's had some interesting comments this week around if he had to do it last year, he would have left. He said the club was a shambles, the direction of the footy club was poor.
Brad Scott's obviously done something to
and he said Craig Vozo as well, ex-West Coast GM of footy, goes over there and CEO, and it sounds like what he's been impressed is the focus on footy, which sounds ridiculous
when you're at a footy club, yeah.
That's one thing I always took for granted at West Coast, that having not seen anywhere else what they do with their footy departments and their footy clubs, West Coast has been a football-orientated football club the entire time I've been there. It didn't feel like we were trying to do anything else other than win games of footy.
I just wonder how much that reflects on obviously the board issues, the supplement saga stuff, which, to be honest, is still in the background. Yeah. Whether that was part of what he's talking about that sort of lingered for years. So, look, he's a great pickup. South Australian clubs were hoping, bated breath, not to be. That's a good result for them. But you're right, Essendon, they've tailed off. I know if they don't make finals, after a month ago we thought they're almost a lock.
Well, their coaches come out and said it's not really about this year.
Trying to take the pressure off, which I get.
Oh, I don't know if I'd love that as a fan. You want to try and compete every year, don't you?
Yeah, probably. I just think it's probably just dull the expectation, maybe.
We might know that they're not going to win the flag. But you want them fighting for a final spot, surely. I mean, imagine going to a final watching these young players as an Essendon fan, playing whoever, fifth, if they make 8th or whatever, playing 5th place. You want to see it.
Problem is, look, I don't think Draper's back still. Nah. Shield's still missing. Like, they look vulnerable. And I've got to say, even though I think the home team in these two clubs has won 10 of the last 11 matches.
Yes.
Marvel Stadium, I don't think any fears for Sydney. For what I saw last week, Sydney is playing better footy, and that graph is going in the right direction. So I'm going to select Sydney to win this one.
Callum Mills' 150th game, they get up for him. I think they are a side that plays for milestone games.
He almost, I think, there's a question mark over his fitness over the past week or two as well. But
ideally, if he plays for his 150th, I'm picking Sydney.
Yeah, me too. Sydney and Buddy to just for you to kick 3 to stay on track for that.
So you're on him now?
No. Yeah, so you're trying to misrepresent what I said. I
said he's going to kick 50 goals this year.
What's he at?
Not going to happen. You said he'd retire before the season was done.
I said he'd retire, yes, and possibly even about 6 weeks ago I said he'd retire as a bold prediction.
I hope he plays next year, seriously. Adelaide v Port Adelaide, Adelaide Oval. This has got some spice to it. Who was it? Yeah. Burton coming out saying, I hate the football club. I hate the Adelaide Crows.
Didn't his dad get... Anyway.
So who's his dad? I saw that.
I think his dad got moved on from the Crows. Anyway.
Who's his dad? Not Brett Burton.
What? Is that Brett Burton?
Is that his dad?
I don't know. We'll have to check that. This could be a Travis Kelce moment, but...
I saw something about his dad
being moved on from the Crows.
Is that Brett Burton?
I think Brett Burton did get moved
on.
The
Birdman?
Yeah.
That's his dad.
I didn't know that either.
I don't know if that's right or not. If it is, I'll be impressed. I used to love watching Brett Burton.
Yeah, number 24.
Hangers every week.
Yeah,
There's no way that's his dad.
Okay. Well,
the showdown must win for
the Crows. Bit of spice.
Yeah, well, must win for the Crows. Port Adelaide don't need to win it, but
yeah, there's a bit more in this. Just wonder, you talk about Collingwood and the mental energy and the exertion they used to get over across the line against Port. How big did Port make that game against Collingwood? That's the interesting factor. And they've got a showdown the next week. It's an Adelaide home game, which I know doesn't mean much, but I don't know. This is one which I think I'd be very. We saw that game. We called that game for radio between Adelaide and Melbourne. And Adelaide, bar their kicking for goal, probably should have won. And they're a lot better side in Adelaide than anywhere else.
There had a couple of big injuries. Nick Murray's had a great year. He's done his ACL. So he was trying to warm up on the sidelines. It was one of those ones where I've seen him done before where you don't know you've done it. So he walked in to get a scan, thought it'd be some sort of knee injury, and then if you just Google it still, Jaden, you just Google who is who is Ryan Burton's father. That's literally what you type into Google. Okay.
It's not. So he said his dad was dismissed from the Crows. That was a tweet I saw. Is that what you saw?
Yeah, correct. The other big injury is Isaac Rankin.
Yeah, the hamstring. Yeah, we saw that. How good was he last week at the G? Couple of goals, but the way he just was clean at ground level, it's huge. So in that respect, makes life on paper pretty difficult. Tex Walker, by the way, is re-signed for another year. I think that happened this week.
Oh wow!
Yeah, so he's considering he was just about cooked. In terms of what happened with his off-field stuff, with the racial stuff, with his age. But he's bounced back, and there's no reason why he shouldn't. He's certainly kicked 10 against the Eagles. He's up near 40, 50 goals for the year, I think. 50 goals from memory.
Former North Adelaide star Craig Burton is Ryan Burton's father.
Craig Burton, okay.
Yes.
So did Craig was at the Crows?
I just know it's not the Birdman. That's all I know.
There we go. We
Conor Rose's 100th game. So crept up a little bit. He must have played a lot. He must have played a lot of footy. He's pretty much just been in and playing.
And Rory Laird, I think, will he come back into the side? That's the question.
Yeah, so that's a question mark. They reckon he should, but he's been out with a hamstring, and hammies. You need to get everything right in that. Basically, how hammies go. The first week's just pure recovery. The second week, you're starting to try and get going, and the third week, you could get through a full training session. So you're pretty much right to go at the start of the week.
Yep.
And you need to get through, but quite often with these reoccurrence things, that's when you do it, when you're trying to get that through that full week. So he'll need to get through all sessions this week to play. He's important for them. I'm picking...
this is my bottle mark roughy of the week.
Hey,
don't worry about that because
the bottle mark roughy
for $3 or there it is, thereabouts. So I'm happy to take the Crows as my bottle mark. That's it.
What did we say we have to be over?
Well, it's got to be around $3.
Does it have to be around $3 or does it have to be over $3?
What are they?
$2.77.
On what? What's that on? Are they? I saw them earlier the week.
No, you can have it. I'll give it to you. Bottle mark roughy of the week. Start your footy weekend at bottle mark.
Because I've got no chance of getting a bottle mark roughy of the week all year.
Port Adelaide I'm picking, mate. No way no way that Adelaide beat them. No. Isaac Rankin's their best player. He's hammy and
that's why I call it a roughie because but I think they'll be really competitive. I don't think Port blow them out of the water. That's my gut feeling.
Let's whip through these. We've been battling on a little bit this week. Hawthorn v St Kilda, Marvel Stadium, must win for St Kilda. Clearly, Hawthorn being competitive. Lloyd Meek likely to return with Ned Reeves suspended for his dangerous tackle. Honestly, not a lot of interest in this game.
No, well, there's St Kilda. Well, St Kilda's win-loss record from here on in determines whether they play finals.
Where are they playing? I wonder if they'll shut the roof.
Marvel Stadium. Don't worry about Ross's, whinging.
Wasn't he wrong?
Oh, I think the AFL come and said, look, we close it normally 2.5 hours because there was an issue. We closed it it wasn't much. Bottom line is they were pretty poor for 3 quarters against North.
I just think they're an irrelevant football club. Seriously, St Kilda. I don't know. They're just a bit of nothing for me at the moment. And I'm more excited to watch Hawthorn play than I am St Kilda.
Yeah, I agree with that on that front. There's a bit to like about
Who are you picking?
And I remember this because I had a little interest on St Kilda last time they met, and they led by 4 goals with about 10 minutes to go and got beaten by, I think, 5 points, maybe 10 points.
You just remember your losses, don't you?
Yeah, I do. And I am, like George Costanza, the king of the losers sometimes. We'll get some audio of that, actually, and we'll use that instead of Travis Kelce moving forward.
That would be good, thank you, Joe.
Yeah, we'll sort that out.
King of the losers.
Yeah. Lord of the Idiots, I think it is the exact term. If you're a Seinfeld fan, I'll find that and we'll use that.
Who you picking, idiot?
I'm picking Hawthorn. Hang on, you've just said St Kilda are irrelevant.
Yeah, okay, I'm with you. I'm picking Hawthorn too. There you go. I don't know. Yeah, I'm picking Hawthorn. I don't know why.
Well, they're playing better. They're playing good footy. Yeah, they're young. They'll be inconsistent.
Richmond v Melbourne, Sunday, MCG. Yeah. Big context for the 8, this one. Richmond scrapping to get into the 8 while Melbourne are trying to make a big move in the top 4 and make sure they're solidified there.
Not sold about Melbourne's form at the moment.
Well,
this is the time they have to start putting it together.
I've taken a different stance. I'm like, I reckon they're bubbling the way. I reckon they're on the simmer. I reckon they're just about to hit boiling point.
What do you base that on in all seriousness?
Their experience that they have. finals time, it's close enough to finals that they start, absolutely putting it together. They've got some issues, clearly, but they've got enough good players to really... I think they'll beat Richmond.
Contested possession. The last couple of games have won by 21. So that's...
I think they beat Richmond convincingly in this one.
Yeah. I'm not so sure about convincingly because they've... Richmond hasn't done a lot wrong, really, since McCoulter's taken over, have they? I mean, they've been really, strong in last week. They were down by, I think, 36 points almost against Hawthorn, which I guess is leading to your point that maybe they're heading for a defeat. But, I guess the question is, can Melbourne... They've done it without Oliver so far. He's got another 2 or 3 weeks, I think, out still, which is... It's just an ongoing
I'm not sure what's going
hamstring with him. But Maxi gone great last week. Brayshaw was terrific. Yeah, I'll tip Melbourne as well.
So you've answered your own question. What do I like about Melbourne? You've just told me all the things I like.
Yeah, but even last week you were saying Crows can win, should be winning. They didn't.
They should have won.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But your suggestion was that they're
bubbling. I think Adelaide's good. Yeah, they're just simmering. Not bubbling, simmering.
No, I just think they're just going at the moment. But you're right. There's not to say they can't.
They're warm.
Yeah. Grundy remains out of the team. Maxi, first ruck.
You picking Melbourne?
Picking Melbourne, yeah.
Will Schofield, Mark Redding, Shelter FootyCast. Couple of listener comments for us, Skeeter, over on YouTube. You can get them done there. Jaden gives them a bit of a scour before we get on air, so if you got something funny, we'll probably read it out. Scully seemingly has a cold, and I was fairly sure I heard him say dry anus instead of Jai Amos.
I wouldn't put it past Scully.
Re-listening while paying attention, it isn't really there, but you should all know about it. Yeah,
I wouldn't put it past Scully just dropping that in inadvertently,
or fucking thinking that was his name.
Faux pas City.
You like that?
Oh yeah.
I look forward to watching Skeet call the Freo game this week, slipping in Giannis. Oh, that's very good. I thought you'd like that.
Yeah, I like it.
This is from Daniel. I haven't read this yet, so this will be interesting. When they do that, chances are you're not going to lose after every betting ad.
They
need to have a photo of Skeeter instead of the black background.
What's his name?
It'd really make people question things.
What's his name?
Daniel.
Hey, Daniel. Listen, you dick, Daniel. With all due respect to you.
With all due respect.
Nah, it's a fair shout. The only thing I do laugh at quickly
is
the AFL. The AFL has banned commentators and again, commentating, having a bet on the game on game day. This happened 5 years ago. Before that, you could have a bet. So I'd have a bet at the footy on the game. If they had a look at my wins and losses in those matches I was commentating and betting on, they would realise the advantage I had was absolutely nil because I was not winning. So I got no idea why they think this inside information is going to help you, because it doesn't.
Well, you don't, do you? You don't
Mate.
But you just have to go
back listen to you. I remember completely putting, I think I've got a second mortgage out. Richmond will beat Port Adelaide at the MCG this Saturday. Mark my words, take it to the bank, go and buy your wife a Louis Vuitton bag. It's happening. And you listened, you heard, you tipped Richmond as well. And we got absolute... there was 6 goals to 2 down. I thought, Scully, you absolute prick. You just...
So now what do? You don't listen to anything else?
I listened to you last week saying that... anyway, I've given up listening to you. In fact, I've given up listening to myself.
All right, there we go. The bottom up roughies of the week. You got them there.
Thanks, Daniel.
That is very good. Froth Town, get your tickets for that. And Dice, Skeeter. I'll bring you some more songs of Dice. September
Send
22.
Daniel to Dice.
Yes, that is very good. All of that done and dusted. Enjoy your weekend of footy. Great game on Friday night. Cricket will be on. It's going to be a great weekend.
Go team.
Monday, BackChat live at the Paddo. Skeeter will be there.
Monday madness.